Hello again, welcome back. Hope you're having a good morning, good evening, or a good afternoon. Thank you for joining in again. Today, part of Weenie Envy, I'd actually like to talk about a different kind of Weenie Envy. I know, it's only the second episode in, but I'd like to talk to you about the 4/5 creature for 3 mana. And 4/5 for 3 sounds fantastic, but most people think of it as Leatherback Baloth. I mean, look at it, 3 mana, 4/5. Can you really call this a weenie creature? I mean, it's still 3 mana though. It's still eligible in tiny leaders, so why not? But it's not the only one of its kind, because there's still other effects that put, well, basically 4 power into play, into battlefield. You have Awakener Druid, and you also have Boon Satyr. So which of these 3 is the right kind of deck? It goes in your deck. Which one is the card you should be playing? Maybe all 3? Maybe 1? Well, maybe not any of them. But let's examine that today in Weenie Envy. Now I know, you can tell just by looking at it. A 4/5 for 3 mana from the Leatherback Baloth, that's fantastic, but sometimes you're playing more than one color. In mono green, sure, you can play the Leatherback Baloth. But if you don't want to play that, or if you want to keep your mana separated out, or sometimes you might not get 3 forests in a row, how do you deal with that? Well, how do you deal with that? And that's why there's other cards like Awakener Druid and Boon Satyr. And I realize you're going to look at them and say those are clearly very, very different cards. Boon Satyr is obviously a 4/2, but it's 3 mana for Flash and Bestow, and it's a 4/2. Awakener Druid's 3 mana for a 1/1, but its ability is that it turns another target force you control into a 4/5 green creature. So what's the difference between a 4/5 here, a 4/5 forest, or a 4/2 Flash? Well, look at their casting costs. This kind of gives you a really interesting in-depth look at how cards are created and how casting cost influences what a card can do. You can also look at it as what's in type 2 that means it's okay to have this, or what's the reason why we have cards that are not as good. I mean, think about it. There's a creature in Theros block that's 4/1 for 3, and it's 2/1 green, and it's also an enchantment, and it has to, well, there's just so many reasons why it's not very good, but it's not terrible. So what's the difference between that and, say, a Leatherback Baloth? It's only 2/1 green for 1. It's in the same enchantment set where enchantment matters. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. Meanwhile, with Awakener Druid, you can actually put it into play and choose one of your forests that are untapped that's been in play since the beginning of your turn. What that actually translates out to is you have a 4/5 green creature that you can actually swing out with on the turn that you cast Awakener Druid, which Baloth can't necessarily do. You can do turn 2 Leatherback Baloth, don't get me wrong. Turn 2 Leatherback Baloth, very powerful, very good. Likewise, you could wait and cast Boon Satyr at the end of your opponent's second turn. So there's a lot of options here. I mean, which would you play in your deck? Again, you're really not losing by playing any of the 3 of them. So what we're examining here are what are your options. And also I want you to understand that play one of these when you see somebody else play it. Well, that's just how the cards came up. But yeah, you could look at somebody playing a 4/5 and say, well, I'm playing Awakener Druid, I have a 4/5. Or I'm playing Boon Satyr, flash in a 4/2, and bestow it on one of your other creatures. Now it's like an 8/4 or something. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. And it's another really good card for standard or tiny leaders. Any of these 3 would work very well in a deck. And you can combo it out, play Boon Satyr and Leatherback Baloth. You can play Awakener Druid and Boon Satyr, or Awakener Druid and Leatherback Baloth. You can play all 3 in one deck. Why not? And again, you might not realize some of these cards exist. Obviously, this is currently in standard. This is from original Zendikar block. I'm not sure which symbol that is because I actually started playing again after having stopped playing for a while. Awakener Druid's been around since, I believe, M10 and M11. Excellent card. When I started playing again was around this time where these cards were available, and I looked at the 2 of them and thought, I'd rather play this because it gives me an extra creature. So Might of the Masses is 2 + 2 + 2 instead of +1/+1 with the Leatherback Baloth. And Gia's Cradle means your forest and this is now 2 extra mana. And Bramble Snap, sorry. Bramble Snap, actually you can tap this and the forest and give it +2/+2. So this is one of those kind of cards you play with a lot of different options. And this is the type of card you play when you want to reinforce something you've already got. And this is the kind of card you play when you really just want the one creature with no added effect. This is literally one of the biggest, strongest for casting cost vanilla creatures that have been printed. So yeah, it's complicated, but it's one of those things that you look at and you realize there's a lot going on here, and you realize there's a lot of cards that you could be trying out if you wanted to, be they rare, uncommon, or uncommon. There are lots. I think there's actually a 4/1 for 2/1 green that's been printed in this current set of Khans of Tarkir block. I guess we'll just call it Tarkir block now. So, I mean, think about it. Which card would you want to play? And I guess that'll be good for episode 2. I'll see what I can put together for episode 3. I hope everybody's having a great day. Take care, everybody.